with him. He's amazing. And so we are grateful to have the opportunity to come on and share with you. I want to make sure that
So you just get us today.
what are you talking about, Melissa? Okay, it looks like we're live here. Please let us know if you guys have any issues with audio. Yeah, and this is actually a really great opportunity because there's something that Melissa and I have been talking about quite a bit lately on our nightly bike rides, which, as we've probably mentioned to you, we really love. And it's probably one of the most important aspects of how Family Brand came to be, and one of the biggest turning points in our relationship. And that is, I want to share a quote. Some of you have heard this quote, maybe some of you haven't. And if you're watching this, first of all, welcome and thank you for the support with the Connection series. Secondly, if you are watching this live, watch on your page. So, if you're watching this after we've gone live, you can share it. But if you're watching it live, start a watch party on your page. That has you go live on your page as well, so we can reach more families. Please share the Connection series. We'd invite you to join our Facebook group. If you go on Facebook and use Family Brand Community, you can join our free Facebook group. We have a gift for you if you join that, a new course that we created that we'd love to give to you. So yeah, we want help, like helping families plant their family's flag and save and build families.
Yeah, and the real intention behind this Connection series was just to support families. We've been wanting to do this for a long time, but especially now, given the current situation of coronavirus and remaining at home, we're like, okay, how can we add value, support families? What can we be creating content that will really support families? And today what we want to talk about is part of families. Families are made up of individuals, and the individuals make up the family. So today we wanted to talk about that today a little bit, breaking it down even at the individual level, how we can support.
Yeah, and welcome Josh and Bonnie. Thank you guys for your support. Again, please start a watch party on your page. Invite people to like the Family Brand Facebook page, and then come join our Family Brand community. So just go on Google, type in Family Brand community. So there's a quote I'll share with you that all the difference for me around me individual inside of our family. And many of you have probably heard this quote. And the quote is, whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And I actually have seen a number of circumstances, situations where that's actually not true. And I've seen times where the whole is not greater than the sum of its parts. Sometimes the whole is actually less than the sum of its parts, because it's not a 1 + 1 = 3. It's like a 1 + 1 = -1. And there was times in our own marriage where that was certainly the case. Like the whole was not greater than the sum of its parts. We canceled each other out and created a deficit. And so I think that quote is true so long as there's a second part added to it. And that is, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts if every part is whole. And so I think when you're talking about a family, if every individual of the family is whole, and that doesn't mean perfect, but striving to be whole and following this and their calling and their dreams and what's important to them, if every individual of the family is striving to be whole, then yeah, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And I think that's something that's overlooked a lot of times, is that we forget times that families are made up of individual people with very unique personalities and very different dreams and goals and hopes and aspirations. And I would say, and Melissa can share if she agrees with this or not, but I would say that the most powerful thing that I've ever done for our family perspective, from my standpoint, is work on myself. Like the most powerful thing that I've done to benefit the whole of our family is to go after my dreams and follow the thing I felt called to do, and take a stand for me and my mission and my truth out there in the world. And just think of the difference in a family member, and every individual member of a family contributes to that family's brand. Every individual member of the family contributes to that family's culture. So think about the difference between a family member inside of a family unit that impacts the culture. Think of the difference of a family member who isn't following their calling, isn't going after their dreams, isn't fulfilled and happy in their work or their career or their school or their friendships. And think about how that impacts that family unit, versus think of an individual in a family who is going after their dreams, going after the thing they feel called to do, whether that's a business or a hobby or an interest or a nonprofit, whatever it is, that significantly impacts the dynamic of the family. Welcome, Katrina, Homer. So Melissa, yeah, you obviously witnessed all of my, whatever you wanted to call it, the journey of getting to here now. So I want Melissa to talk about that from her perspective, and then also share her own journey with that.
Yeah. So from my perspective of Chris, to start with,
I never know what she's going to say.
only good things, because Chris has been such an example to me of really going for things that are important to you and like dreams and like putting yourself out there. Like for example, he's like so fearless to like just go for his dreams, and that I noticed a difference in him when he started doing that. Like he and dreams, that things that he wanted to do, not because anyone else said he should or he thought that he should, but when he started really being true to what he wanted to do, I noticed a huge shift in him and your overall happiness and how you brought yourself to our marriage and to our family. And it's been amazing to watch Chris's journey. And yeah, it's been so beautiful to watch, and it's inspiring to me. When I see that, I'm like, oh, like I want to go for my dreams. Like, what are the things that are important to me? Of course, we're raising a family together, and that's important to me. But we were talking about this the other day, that I was a person before I had kids, and I'm, even after the kids leave, like I'm still gonna have my interests and desires. But a lot of times I feel like, as I'll speak for myself, like, I started having kids and I kind of forgot about what are the things that I enjoy doing, and I stopped doing those things. So being able to watch Chris really go for his dreams has inspired me and to do that for myself. And he's been so supportive of me doing that, of me, finding identity outside of being here at the house.
Yeah, it's awesome. And it's been inspiring to watch Melissa do that. Like, and I think, and I would have never had the courage or the confidence to go after my dreams and take a stand for like, what is it that I feel called to do and what is it I want to do, without the belief that Melissa had in me and creating space for me without judgment and with just encouragement and belief to actually do that. Welcome, Jed. And so that space that Melissa created for me gave me, like, in that space, I saw this possibility to really go after my dreams and start my own business and follow my calling and like do the thing I felt called to do. And I noticed a significant change in my happiness and my overall well-being, which then I was bringing that home to my family, and that makes a difference, and that will impact that culture. And then it's been amazing. Like, Melissa came to me 3 years ago, maybe about 3 years ago, and just had a really frank conversation with me. And it was really eye-opening for me. And she just said, look, I feel like our family has supported you in going after your dreams and you finding your identity and your calling. And it's been amazing to witness. And we feel like, like she's like, I want to now do that for me. And I would love your support in supporting me and my identity and my dreams. We got some visitors here.
Streaker, actually.
A 3-year-old streaker. And so Melissa came to me and just said, can you support me in like my identity and my calling? And I feel like that's been a focus of ours. And it's been inspiring to watch Melissa go after her dreams and like get clear on like, what is it that I really feel called to do? And it doesn't, like, whatever it is for you is fine. For some people, that's starting a business. For some people, that's, taking up an art class. For some people, that's like revisiting an old like hobby or an interest, like whatever it is. But I really do believe that sometimes, in an effort to build a family unit and be so cohesive, that it's super easy for us to kind of lose our identity in it. And it's a tricky balance. But, I know that for us, one of the things that we talk a lot about too is one of our greatest desires for our children is that we hope that we're creating a culture and a family brand of what it means to be a Smith that really encourages our children to like go after their dreams someday. Like that would, if you ask like us, like, hey, what would success look like for you in parenting? One of the major components that we've talked about is that we raise children that feel like it's okay to go after their dreams. Like they can be who they want to be, whatever that is. And it doesn't have to look a thing like what it is we've created. And so I just would encourage any of you watching, are there areas of your life maybe where you've kind of lost your identity? Are there areas of your life where maybe you aren't even thinking about, yeah, what is it that I really feel called to do? What is it that I really want to go do? And that demonstration of your children watching you do that, I just think it's one of the most profound things that we can do for children. Because look, if you're going to go after what it is you feel called to do, if you're going to go after your purpose and your mission, it's going to require some sacrifice and some pain and some struggle. And if your kids see that you have the courage to do that, one of my favorite quotes is by Viktor Frankl. He says, "What is to give light must endure burning." And so I think all of us have a desire to give light in the world and inspire other people. And like, we may have to burn for it. And for your children to be able to observe that and witness that and see that, I think it like inspires them, like, well, I can do hard things. Like, I can go after my calling. I can follow my dreams, and it won't be easy. But I can tell you that when I first started the Campfire Fact with Melissa's support and encouragement and belief, and those months early on when we were like buying groceries on credit cards, it wasn't like things weren't like, oh, I started my own business and it was amazing. It was a struggle. And I can tell you, in that struggle, in the months we were buying groceries on credit cards, I was happier than I had maybe ever been. And I think our family was like stoked when they were behind me. And it was, yeah, it had its challenges. But I truly believe that our family unit as a whole would be happier, like barely getting by every month, following our dream and our calling, than both of us doing something that doesn't fulfill us and doesn't bring us joy and meaning, but yet, we have security. And so, the cool thing is if you can do both, right? Like if you can follow your dream and your calling and provide for your family. But I there's so much of this that we're going to teach in the family brand community. And when we launch our courses and our membership around this idea of like focusing on the individual and providing content and frameworks from the Campfire Effect to really help individuals in a family think questions about like, well, what do I want to be known for? Right. There's this question and conversation on what does our family want to be known for? But then there's this like, as an individual, what do I want to be known for? What is it that I stand for more than anything? And that to me is when you really have this opportunity to create the 1 + 1 + 1 equals, 10. We have a special guest appearance from Indy May Smith.
You want to say hi?
Can you say hi, Indy? Hey, Indy, can you tell everyone one of our Smith family values that we say in the mornings? What's one of the things that we say every morning? Smiths do what? Can you say one of the things? Or are you just going to draw? Sometimes you just let your cute looks do all the talking for you.
Guest appearance by Indy. She's our baby.
But yeah, that to me is again, the whole can be greater than the sum of its parts if the parts are whole. And so just, yeah, what would it look like to have a culture in a family where people are actually encouraged to be their authentic selves, where people are encouraged to be who they are? And that's why our family mission is we believe you can be who you want to be. Is that whole statement around we believe you can be who you want to be was all designed around this very thing. Like you can be who you want to be, and you can be who you want to be, and you can be like, and that creates this really powerful dynamic. And I'm just grateful that I had a family that was willing to support me and created space for me, because it wasn't easy on our family. Like at times, like the things I did to find my calling and go after my dreams and do the things I really wanted to do, like it would have been in a lot of ways easier for my family, for us not to do that.
But again, like seeing you do that, it created space for me to feel like, okay, I can do that too. And then therefore, like you're saying, and then that creates that for our kids. But it all started with one person being willing to do that.
And I will say this, that one of the things though that made such a profound difference for me in doing that was reading stories of my ancestors and family that had gone before me that had done that. Like reading stories of ancestors of mine that had like given up everything and sold everything to like come to this country, or sacrificed everything to come to Arizona and build something out of nothing when it was just a desert, right? And so I just think one of the things too that we talk a lot about in family brand is that one of the greatest indicators, there's a lot of research out there right now that says that one of the greatest indicators of a child's future well-being and their ability to deal with hard things is how much they know about their family. and their heritage and where they come from. And so, yeah, I was inspired by those stories. My story was an inspiration to Melissa. Melissa's story is an inspiration to me. Hopefully our stories are inspiration to our children. But yeah, I just think it's an amazing opportunity to reflect on, what does it look like to create whole individuals inside of your family? And yeah, is there anything else, Melissa?
I just wanted to add a detail to Chris saying that, he was reading his family history and it was inspiring to him. One line that you would say to yourself that I loved is the guy who he's named after, is named Christopher Layton. Okay, we have another visitor.
Here, come over this way. This is Trip. Trip Daniel Smith. He's got some nicknames though. Sharky, Henry. Hey Trip, Indy. We asked Indy to tell our listeners here one of our family values, but she just wanted to draw instead. Can you tell everyone something that we say every morning? Just one of our family values.
Smiths do hard things.
Smiths do hard things. Yeah.
Do you think you can do hard things?
That's awesome.
Okay, so the rest of the story is he was reading stories of his kind of great grandfather named Christopher Layton, who happened to start several towns. Like he founded towns. And I remember Chris saying to himself, okay, that's like that same blood that flows through him, like flows through me. And if he could start 3 towns, like in the 1800s, I can start a business. Like, I don't know. It was a funny perspective to keep, but I remember it being super inspiring too.
Yeah. And one of the things I would tell myself, like an affirmation every morning during those times, is I am a powerful creator. Like, cause that's how I saw Christopher Layton, this guy was named after, and all our ancestors were like, they just created possibility for themselves. They were powerful creators. And like, if they can create, but again, I just think that like it's impossible to put too much emphasis on each of us becoming whole individuals, because we as whole individuals like have the greatest opportunity to make the biggest contribution to any other type of unit or team, whether that's at work or at our church or in a mastermind, and especially in our family. So here's to creating whole individuals. And you're going to hear a lot more from us on this very topic about, giving parents and children ideas of like, how do you get started? Like, how do I get started on finding my calling? How do I get started on finding the thing that I really want to be known for and that I really want to go after? Because it's one thing to say like, hey, Chris, that sounds great. I'd love to do that. But where a lot of people are stuck is like, but I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what really calls to me. And we just want to share more and more content around that to help you find that out, really discover that and create that type of culture in every family's home where like, yeah, there's just families all over the world going after their dreams. There's families all over the world. They're like living life on their terms and like doing it their way. And the ripple effect of that has been so cool in our family for me. It's like little things like, I don't know, like, for example, in the summers, it's hot in Arizona, like miserable hot in the summer months of Arizona. Well, in years past, we just lived here because that's what you do, right? You live in Arizona, so you stay here. But this whole idea of like, when we started like going after our dreams and going after, and when we started realizing like, we can just say we want something and then pick up the pen and like write that into existence and then go like create it. We can just do that. Then one time it was like, oh, hey, wait, we don't have to live here in the summers if we don't want to. And then we just created that possibility. And so now most summers we just travel around, and like, it doesn't have to be expensive, doesn't have to be extravagant, but it's just like that thought or that part of your brand or that part of your culture where you just start realizing as a family, we can do what we want to do. We can be who we want to be. We can create any possibility around anything we want in our life. That's totally possible for every family. And it starts with every individual in the family believing that for themselves as well. But that's just been really fun. Like the way Melissa and I used to operate around things like this would be like, okay, we want to travel this summer. We want to like not be here, but can we do it? Do we have the money to do it? Could we arrange like, my horses to be taken? Like we would look for all these possibilities, all these reasons why we couldn't and why it would be hard. And over time it shifted to like, well, do we want to do it? Yes. Would it be meaningful to us and our family? Yes. Okay, then we're in. Like, then it's a yes. And it doesn't mean like everything's set up, and doesn't even mean we know how, but like now we get to figure out how to create it. But what I'm saying is that that mindset, if you will, I think has come out of just individual work on ourselves.
I love the story of shout out to Brad Martineau. The story about Brad and your computer. I think I remember that being the first time where we started maybe thinking in the way you're describing.
Yeah. So this very computer that I'm doing this live on, and when this computer dies, which could be any moment now, I'm going to frame it because it was a huge turning point for me around this very thing. So I had just started the Campfire Effect. So I had, I'd put myself out there, and I was kind of going after my dream and like figuring out this thing I felt called to do and starting my own business for the very first time. And Brad Martineau, really amazing entrepreneur, has a company called 6th Division, and a great friend. One of my kids, is really good friends with one of his kids. And so I had just started the Campfire Effect, and I had an old MacBook Pro, and I still had scarcity around money big time. And so I made a post one day on Facebook, said, hey, my MacBook Pro is about to bite the dust. Anyone know where I could take it to get fixed or worked on, and that type of thing. And everyone was putting these really nice comments on the Facebook on my post. Like, oh, you could take it here. And I know of somewhere where you can ship it in, they ship it back, and like all this super helpful stuff. And Brad, who I don't really know that well at this point in time, he's just become a client, but we became Facebook friends. He all of a sudden pops in the comments, and he's like, stop being an idiot and wasting your time and go buy a new computer. I was like, who is this guy? And all of a sudden, all the comments stopped after Brad. You could tell people in the thread were like, ooh, like no one wanted to comment after that. And so I'm still using my MacBook Pro, and it's still running clunky. And then about a week later, I have a meeting at his office to do a coaching session because he's a client. And I show up there, and Brad's walking around the office and talking to people, and kind of, really fast paced. And he's like, and then, he's like, oh, hey, by the way, did you get a new computer? I'm like, no. And he's like, okay. And he keeps talking to people. And then he's like, hey, let's run out to the car real quick. I need to run somewhere really quick errand, and we can start, talking on the way and start our coaching. I was like, okay. So I'm just talking like mile a minute, totally clueless, just excited to be with a new client. We get to the Santan Mall, this outdoor mall, and I'm not thinking anything. We get to the Apple store, pull up right in front of the Apple store. I'm not thinking anything. I'm just so focused on probably my excitement to coach him. We walk in, and he goes, hey, come in here. I just got to do something really quick. And we walk in, and the guy comes up from Apple, super friendly, and hey, what do you need? And he goes, hey, this guy needs a brand new MacBook Air, fully loaded, all the bells and whistles, like just top of the line, and best warranty. And we need to be out here in 10 minutes because we got some important things to do. And then Brad looks at me, he's like, you got the money, right? You're good for it? And I was like, I was like, I didn't really have the money. I kind of had like probably a little bit on a debit card, some on a credit card. I was like, do I call my wife and ask for permission? Like, I don't know what to do, right? So next thing you know, like this is all a blur, and I'm like slowly pulling out a credit card and handing it to this guy and hoping it actually goes through. And then like we leave, and I'm like in a daze, like what just happened? We get in the car, and Brad's like, he's like, you have such an important mission, and you have such a cool thing that could help so many entrepreneurs. He's like, don't you ever like waste your time like that and think small like that. He's like, go take this computer and bless the lives of like hundreds of thousands of entrepreneurs, and like make a real difference for your family, create wealth for you and your family.
And how much money you could create like from the use of that like very computer that you just bought.
Yeah. And Brad's like, do you realize how much time you spent researching to save a little bit of money, and that time you could have used out creating? So again, it was those little lessons for me around like creation and possibility, and like not having a scarcity around money, and like my own mindset, that made the biggest difference for me in bringing that into our family. And then Melissa was out doing her own work on her too, and bringing that into our family. So man, we can never underestimate the power of each individual person that makes up the family unit. And that, along with like countless lessons, but I'm going to share a lot of that. So for those of you just tuning in, thank you so much for joining us. Please start a watch party on your page with this, share this. Please go to Facebook and type in the search Family Brand Community. You can join our private Facebook group. We have a gift for you, a new course that we just shot. And yeah, the reason we're doing this connection series is we want to make a difference for families. Like, we believe that every family can define what it is their family stands for. And every family, like your family, you can declare what it is your family's going to be known for by planting your family's flag and creating your family's brand. And then when you do that, not only are you creating a culture that will bless your family now, you'll be laying the foundation of a culture that will benefit hundreds, if not thousands, of your family generations to come. And yeah, I'm grateful for Melissa, and I'm excited to be doing a business with her, because had she not believed in me and granted me that space, like the Campfire Effect would have never come to be. And if the Campfire Effect hadn't come to be, we would have never taken our family through it and created our family brand, and we wouldn't now be sharing family brand with the world. So anything else?
No.
Okay. You guys are awesome.